Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR Saints, your home for daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Please subscribe, smash the like button, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. And our content this football season is presented by BetUS. Score a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. Enjoy the video. Who dat? New Orleans Saints will have a new head coach. The list being pared down a little bit as in-person interviews will take place this week. We're expecting Aaron Glenn to be on that list on Wednesday, and potentially Mike McCarthy as well. Mike Kafka has had his in-person interview, so we're getting closer to finding out who is going to be the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Kind of knows what it's like going through that transition. Scott Shanle, good enough to jump aboard with us. Always great insight when we talk about all things Saints. Scott, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Whenever you joined the New Orleans Saints, during that transition period, I know it was when camp had started. What kind of is that transition like with a new head coach? Like, what can the guys on this roster and the guys coming in who are been losing expect with a new coach coming in?
Well, it puts everybody on notice. I think sometimes as a player, in this business, every day is an interview. No guaranteed contracts. Obviously, guys sign more signing bonus money. You sign for you feel a little safer with job and performance. But when a new head coach comes in, nobody's safe. And you see like what Sean has done in Denver. Sean brought in a bunch of people he's familiar with, and that's a big thing. Is a lot of coaches bring in people they trust. And if you don't know anybody, when you go in that building, you don't have any ties to anybody, no relationships. Everything just comes down to trust factor. And I think that's why, using Sean as an example, why he did what he did in New Orleans, why he's doing what he did in Denver. You don't want to wait around 2, 3, 4 years to find out who you can trust. You want to do it right away. And so when change happens, it puts everybody's toes on the line. Everything starts over, and it's about performance based. And I think that's what makes our game great. But sometimes guys get comfortable.
What's your feeling on Aaron Glenn? He was obviously there with you in 2008. Do you have a general feeling on Glenn as a player, coach, person?
Yeah, I know Aaron well. I go all the way back with Aaron played when I was with the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas,
he was here.
Yeah.
So Bill brought him in at the end of Aaron's career, and here's this guy who's played a ton of football. I'll never forget this about Aaron. Like it's a little thing, but it's a big thing. He's at the end of his career, and yet every day we're in the weight room, we're running gassers. This dude is killing people, and Aaron has a tireless work ethic. And a lot of people kind of look and they say, is Aaron Glenn a defensive guy? We just had a defensive guy in Dennis, and do we want to go that route? And I understand that sentiment. Sometimes it's fun to flip and go the other way, but I think with Aaron, personality-wise, he's way different than Dennis. I think Aaron's one of those guys because he played, he went through the battles, much like Dan Campbell in Detroit. I think he's a player coach who guys are going to play hard for, respect, and listen to every word that he says. And I think you're seeing it now with these coaching cycles that people are looking for Dan Campbell type guys where players hang on every word they say, and a player wants to know that a coach cares about him. And once you get that out of a head coach and a player relationship, the sky's the limit as far as the performance you're getting out of the player. And I think that's what Aaron can bring out of guys.
We'll get right back to the video, but did you know that BetUS also has a casino? For all of our followers here, if you like slots or live casino dealers, you can take advantage of BetUS amazing sign-up bonuses. 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 or 250% for crypto sign-up bonus up to $5,000 as well. Discover the BetUS Casino Playground. Maybe you're a slots enthusiast. BetUS, they've got the games to raise your pulse. You can test your skills with timeless classics. You can also explore the newest, hottest slots and feel that casino buzz with BetUS live dealer tables. Y'all take advantage of this great special. Sign up now. Get 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 and 250% sign-up bonus up in crypto up to $5,000. So Get ready for a rush with the BetUS Casino generous promotions and tournaments that make every play more rewarding. Sign up right now and experience the difference. Get your bonus. 200% sign-up bonus up to $5,000 and 250% crypto sign-up bonus also up to $5,000. Now, enjoy the rest of the video. Do you think there is, you alluded to it, this one thing I've brought up, Scott, just as as an outside looking in point of view, is the connection to the Sean Payton, Dennis Allen tenure, because he was here as a player and as a coach. And there's a feeling let's start over completely. How do you separate that? What is your feeling on how closely related that hire might be if that ends up being the guy?
Yeah, well, I think I'm in the camp that I don't necessarily think a clean sweep, because you're not starting over with the GM. You're not getting a whole clean sweep. I understand as a general manager. I put myself in Mickey's situation, and I say to myself, why the hell would I erase anything Sean Payton related? From 2006 on, it's the only thing we've had to be excited about if you cheer for the New Orleans thing. So I don't know if cleaning the slate completely is the safest bet or the right thing to do, because as a GM, you don't know what you're getting out of a head coach until adversity flies. Everybody, I assume, interviews well. That's why they're in those positions, some better than others. But you had the advantage of seeing Aaron Glenn behind the scenes. You watched him interact with players. You've seen how he treats players after losses, how he interacts with guys in certain situations. It's a huge advantage. And I think that's why people hire people they're familiar with, much like Joe Brady's been in the building. Mike McCarthy obviously has relationships with people there. So I think I'm more in the camp that I understand when people hire people they're familiar with.
Do you, Scott Shanley's with us, former Saints linebacker. Do you have a feeling or relationship with McCarthy? Because it certainly feels like, man, just look at betting odds or whatever. If Aaron Glenn doesn't end up with the Jets, he's probably the Saints number one. If that doesn't happen, it's probably McCarthy number two. You have a feeling on McCarthy?
Yeah, so I think for me, don't underestimate how much Aaron Glenn, I think, is interested in the Jets job. That's home to Aaron. He was a coach with the Saints in a lot of great years and cut his teeth as a coach there. But he was drafted to the New York Jets, played a ton of years there. As a former player, that's always fun to go in those situations. So I think the Jets have an opportunity to hire Aaron Glenn. I really do. But for me, my three guys that I would really consider strongly are probably Aaron Glenn and Joe Brady and Mike McCarthy. I've always been a fan of Mike McCarthy. I've said this all the way back to, when he got the college job and college fans are coming down hard on him. You put Mike McCarthy's resume down with Sean Payton's and Mike Tomlin's, and two of those three guys, everybody praises. Everybody says they're one of the best coaches in the NFL and have been for the past 15 years. And then Mike McCarthy seems to get a lot of shade, but guy's won a Super Bowl. Guy's done a great job with quarterbacks. He's won a ton of games. So I think, I don't want to say Mike's a safe fallback, but it almost kind of is, because he's a guy who's done it and has won a lot of games.
Man, it's fascinating to think what direction this may go. You mentioned Joe Brady. I mean, this isn't the path I thought we were going to go in the convo, Scott, but I'm glad you're opening these doors. What's the appeal of Joe Brady?
Yeah, with Joe, I think everywhere Joe's been outside of Carolina and who has had a lot of six under Matt Rule. I'm not a big Matt Rule fan. Joe has been this guy who went and gave a presentation to LSU football, and Ed Orgeron said, wow, I need that guy on my staff. Hired him and ended up completing one of the greatest college football seasons in history. Goes to Carolina, struggled a little bit early in the season, but I don't think it was fireable. Matt Rule fired him, and then you see what he's doing with the Buffalo Bills. And Josh Allen's always been a great player, but have an MVP type season. And I think for Joe, he hasn't really been out there, so you don't know what his personality is like, and that's a big thing. A lot of guys can be great with X's and O's and call plays, but you got to be a leader of men. You have to develop trust and relationships with players, ages 21 to 37, 36 years old. Those are tough things to do. So I just think Joe has the possibility of being one of those young, up-and-coming guys. Doesn't have the same energy as McVay or maybe a Sean Payton, but I think he's one of those guys that has a ton of success and that guys will respect right away.
Scott Shanley's with us for a couple more minutes. of course you need coaches, Scott, but you can't win without players. I mean, that's a very obvious statement, but the Saints roster right now is old and expensive. How quickly, realistically, can they get this roster back to a point where they can be competitive, to the point where they could be a playoff team?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the biggest question when people start ranking open jobs and where the Saints fall, and everybody points to the salary cap situation and, quarterback situation. Derek Carr will be here for one more year, and I don't think any more after that. So do you have a quarterback waiting in the building? Not necessarily, in my opinion. Spencer played a lot, but Spencer also played with offense that I don't think any NFL team is going to win games with the wide receivers and the running back situation they had at the end of the season. So Spencer got a ton of plays. Now you're really evaluating him a lot in year 2 to see if he can be a starting franchise quarterback. But, the cap, the quarterback situation, it's a huge detriment. But I also know the Saints have good ownership. They play in the division. The Raiders, they play in the AFC West. Who wants to play in that division? I mean, so they have advantages to attracting head coaches. But it's tough. Like you said, aging players, salary cap. But here's my thing. The NFL, you can flip it fast. And the way you do that is you have a 2006 draft, you have a 2017 draft, and they have to hit on this draft. If you don't like anybody at 9, trade back, get a bunch of picks. That's how you're going to flip this roster, and you have to start drafting better than you have the last couple of years.
Scott Shanle, former Saints linebacker. As a Nebraska guy, not a fan of Matt Rule?
I'm not a big fan of Matt. I didn't like the hire.
Okay.
Like I said, did he flip Temple? Yes, congrats. Did he flip Baylor? Yes, congrats. Great. So my big argument to Nebraska fans was great. We're going to beat Temple and Baylor. I didn't like the way he handled a lot of things in Carolina. I knew too much behind the scenes about the way it went in Carolina, and I was against that hire.
Maybe that's a great Joe, with Joe, that may be a great notch in the belt for Joe Brady, with that being the case, Scott, that maybe what did go wrong in Carolina wasn't so much Joe Brady, maybe, as you said, as evidenced by what we're seeing right now in Buffalo with Joe.
That's more who Joe Brady is. Like I said, Joe Brady is the young guy who went and gave a presentation and ended up getting an offensive coordinator job, passing game coordinator for the LSU Tigers. The outlier is the Carolina Panthers. He's had success everywhere he's been. And, if you look at Matt's going to point fingers in a heartbeat, and he's going to fire coaches. He already did in Nebraska. He fired the OC, hired Dana Holgorsen at the end of this year after he was around for the building for 2 weeks. So, that's the outlier, but I think Joe Brady's a hell of a coach.
Scott Shanle, y'all get him on Twitter, X at Scott Shanle, former Saints linebacker. Man, it's going to be interesting to see where the Saints land and how quickly they might be able to turn this thing around. Scott, we always appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.